We were not a warlike species by nature, and that was our first mistake. The Cathari collective had survived for 8,000 cycles by diplomacy, trade, and layered defensive technology. Our shields were legendary across the inner spiral, shimmering lattices of energy that could absorb solar flares and deflect antimatter rounds alike. So when the Ear Dominion arrived with a fleet that darkened our skis, we trusted the shields without question. The first bombardment was almost beautiful, waves of violet plasma washing across our defensive barrier like rain on glass. Our engineers monitored power levels calmly, projecting a steady decline but nothing catastrophic. The High Council continued negotiations, believing this was posturing, intimidation before talks. Then the alarms changed tone. A harmonic shriek echoed through every command hall as Shield Layer 7 collapsed entirely. Energy reserves plummeted faster than predicted, and for the first time in our recorded history, fear replaced confidence. The Ear did not communicate. They simply advanced, methodical and silent, carving apart our outer defense platforms. Cities below began evacuation protocols, and the skis burned with falling debris. It was then that our long-range arrays detected something unexpected. Another signal had entered the system, not Ear in origin, not Cathari either. The signature was chaotic, loud, and improperly encrypted, like someone shouting through every frequency at once. Our analysts struggled to classify it. It was electromagnetic, subspace modulated, and pulsed in irregular rhythms. And beneath it, buried within the noise, was sound. Actual sound. The translation matrices hesitated, then rendered it into something no one in the chamber understood at first. It was music, aggressive, rhythmic, filled with thunderous percussion and distorted harmonic waves. Across all channels, civilian, military, emergency, the same audio erupted simultaneously. And with it came a short transmission, barely coherent, but unmistakably intentional. Hold on. Humans are here. None of us knew who the humans were. But as our shields flickered and the music grew louder, we sensed that the battle had just changed. The human vessels did not arrive gracefully. They tore into real space like wounds in the universe, violent and unapologetic. Spatial distortions rippled outward, knocking several Ear cruisers off formation instantly. Our sensors struggled to lock onto the newcomers. Their ships defied standard design principles, asymmetrical hulls, exposed weapon mounts, and engines that burned far hotter than safety regulations would ever allow. They looked less like warships and more like weapons that had been dared to exist. The music intensified, synchronized with their advance. Heavy rhythmic pulses matched the firing cycles of their main cannons. Every beat coincided with kinetic impacts that shattered Ear shielding like brittle ice. We attempted to hail them properly, to establish command hierarchy and engagement protocols. Instead, we received another broadcast, still layered beneath the music. This is a distress response. You called for help. We heard you. The humans charged directly into the densest concentration of enemy fire. Where we would have maneuvered defensively, they accelerated. Where we would have preserved resources, they expended them with reckless efficiency. One human ship, smaller than an Ear destroyer, rammed straight through an enemy capital vessel. Its hull broke apart in the process, but its payload detonated inside the Ear core, annihilating both ships in a blinding flash. Our tactical officers stared in stunned silence. This was not cowardice or ignorance. This was intent. The humans were not trying to survive the battle. They were trying to end it. As our shields continued to fail, human ships positioned themselves between our world and the enemy fleet. They formed a moving wall of fire and sound. And the music, relentless and furious, became something else entirely. It became a promise. Later, we would learn that humans used music as a psychological weapon. At the time, all we knew was how it made us feel. The sound bypassed logic and struck something deeper. It was chaos shaped into rhythm, rage refined into structure. For species like ours, accustomed to controlled emotional expression, it was overwhelming. For the ear, it was devastating. Their communication networks began to fracture. We intercepted fragments of their internal chatter, confusion, fear, loss of coordination. Their soldiers described the music as predatory, as if the sound itself was hunting them. Human vessels advanced in perfect disharmony. No two followed the same vector, yet they never collided. They danced through incoming fire, engines screaming, weapons roaring in time with the music. One transmission cut through the noise briefly, translated imperfectly but clearly enough. This song is older than your empire. It was written for war. Our scientists recorded spikes in ear stress hormones, neural overloads, even cases of complete sensory shutdown. They had never encountered an enemy that weaponized emotions so brutally. As our last shield layer collapsed, a human command ship locked into low orbit above our capital. It deployed a localized barrier, crude but powerful, wrapping our planet in a protective cocoon of stolen time. The music shifted then. Still violent, but triumphant, rising instead of pounding. And for the first time since the invasion began, our people began to hope. Victory did not come cleanly. Human ships fell, one by one, burning bright and fast. They never retreated, never surrendered, never asked for extraction. We listened as their internal channels leaked into the open spectrum. Laughter, shouting, singing along with the music, even as hull breaches vented atmosphere into space. Fear was present, but it did not rule them. When the final ear flagship attempted to flee, human fighters pursued without hesitation. They overloaded their drives beyond survivable limits. The resulting explosion tore the enemy vessel apart and erased the fighters from existence. Silence followed, broken only by fading echoes of music. Our world was saved, but at a cost we struggled to comprehend. Of the human fleet that answered our call, less than half remained functional. They did not linger for praise. Their commander sent one final message before departure. Threat neutralized. You are safe. Learn to defend each other. Then they were gone, vanishing into the same violent tears in space through which they had arrived. We rebuilt slowly. Our cities still bear scars from the bombardment. But something else remained with us. The recordings. Human war music is now archived in our deepest vaults, classified as both cultural artifact and strategic weapon. We study it, not to replicate it, but to understand the mindset that created it. When asked why humans fight the way they do, our historians offer a simple conclusion. They are not the strongest, nor the most advanced. They are the most willing. Willing to sacrifice. Willing to endure terror and turn it into sound. Willing to answer a distant cry for help without asking who will pay the price. Across the galaxy, new protocols now exist. If human music appears on open channels during a conflict, all aggressive actions cease immediately. Because when you hear human war music, it means someone they care about is in danger. And nothing in the universe is more dangerous than that.